What's up, people? Welcome back to the channel. This is Jane. Welcome to Jane by Design. Today we'll be showing us how to sew the notched collar jacket we drafted previously on this channel. If you've not seen a video of that, I'm going to leave the link of the pattern in the description box. I'm going to also pin up the link on my comment section. Please do ensure that you watch that part before watching the sewing part. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Kindly subscribe, support the channel by liking the videos, subscribe, and also share my videos. So right now I have cut out my pattern. I've cut my pattern on my fabric, and I've also ironed an interfacing on my fabric. So the interfacing I used is the woven. This is very optional. If your fabric is medium to thick weight, you don't need an interfacing on it. So I also went ahead to cut out my lining as well. I cut out the lining exactly the way I cut out the main fabric. So right here I'm going to start assembling all of the parts. So this is my front panel. Okay, I'm going to detach it from my pattern so that we can attach them separately. Now the front panel has four panels, and the back as well has four panels. So the reason why we have four panels in front is because of the shoulder darts for the front, for each side of the front. So now what we are going to do is to place them each side of the front panel. We are going to place them side by side and then flip them on each other, right sides facing each other, and we are going to stitch. So the way I just flipped it right now, you're going to be stitching from the neckline, from the shoulder line down to the hem of your jacket. All right, so here what I'm doing is to pin them together. Also do note that it's important you place notches, especially on your bust line, so that when you come to join this piece together, you will get it properly, it will align properly. All right, guys, so right now I'm just going ahead to arrange my pattern, my fabric together, and then I've pinned it down. Next thing, I'm going to go ahead and stitch up by 1/2 inch. I'm going to do this for the side of the front. For the right side of the front, I'll do the same thing for the left side of the front. And after doing that, I'm going to iron it open. I'm going to iron the seam open. It's important you iron your seam open so that your seam remain flat inside the jacket. So that's what I have done here. I will do the same thing for the back. I'm going to arrange my back panel, the right and the front, the left and the right, sorry, and I'm going to be joining them by 1/2 inch, and we are going to be ironing open the seam as well. After we've joined the two side panel of the back, we still have the center line open, the center back line open. Now what we need to do is to join the two side piece of the back, and what you need to do at this point is to place them right sides facing each other. Use your pins to secure all of the openings. Make sure that they align properly, and then you will be stitching by 1/2 inch. You're going to be stitching from top to bottom of this jacket. Okay, so that's what I've gone here to do, and after joining, this will be what it would look like. And also, let me keep emphasizing this: ensure that you always press your seam open, iron your seam open. So here is my center back. This is the complete back panel. I have one complete back panel for my jacket. This is the front panel. I have two sides panel for my front, sorry, and you can see that all of my seam are ironed open. After ironing them open, ensuring that all your seams are flat on your fabric, now we are going to be joining the front and the back, right sides facing each other. So just grab your front panel of the jacket and the back, place them right sides facing each other, and you're going to be joining them on the shoulder line and also on the sides. Ensure that you use the exact sewing allowance you left on your pattern while drafting. All right, so here is what we have, guys. Our shoulder seam has been joined. Also, when you are joining, ensure that the line at the shoulder matches each other. That's the dot line you have running on your shoulder for the front and back. Ensure that they match each other when you join them at the shoulder line. Now also the same thing at the side, we've also joined the side. So you see that our jacket is complete. We'll do the same thing for the lining. We'll repeat the same thing for the lining, but for the case of the lining, at the center back line I left 3 inches, just so that when we are done stitching up our jacket, I'm going to be turning it from that opening inside out, so that we can reveal the good side of our jacket when we are ready for it. Now on to our sleeve. So I have my 2-piece sleeve pattern right here. If you've not seen a video on how I drafted the sleeve pattern, I'm going to leave the link in the description box, and I'm going to pin it also on the comment section. So please do ensure that you watch how to draft this sleeve as well. It's important. This sleeve is for your jacket and your blazer. So if you want to learn how to draft this sleeve, go ahead and watch my video on how to draft this 2-piece sleeve for a jacket. So right here for my sleeve, I've opened it up, I've taken out my pattern, and now I'm going to be matching all the notches I have on my sleeve. Just ensure that your notches match. You know where the front part of the sleeve is and where the back part of your sleeve is. I'm going to match them all together. So now, after pinning down the notches and pinning both sides, you will do the same thing for the main fabric, for the main sleeve. Okay, this is the lining. So we'll do the same thing for the lining and the main fabric, and after that we're going to be stitching by 1/2 inch on both sides of the sleeve. All right, so here guys, after we are done stitching, this is what the lining looks like, and also this is my main sleeve. All right, so now before we attach this to the jacket, the main jacket and the lining, I'm going to be doing a little bit of modifications to the lining. All right, so I need the lining to be, the sleeve of the lining to be 1/2 inch shorter than the main fabric. So what I've done here, I have gone ahead to mark 1/2 inch on my sleeve, that's on my sleeve opening, and I'm going to be cutting that out. So why I'm doing this is so that when I join the main sleeve and the lining together, the main sleeve kind of overlaps inside of the jacket, and the lining is not that as long as the main sleeve. I hope you get what I mean. So now I've trimmed off that shortage I have there. I've trimmed off that 1/2 inch on the sleeve opening right there. Next, we are going to go ahead and attach the sleeve on the main jacket and the lining. So here we have it guys. I've attached my sleeve. I hope you all know how to attach a sleeve. Attaching a 2-piece sleeve is similar to attaching your basic sleeve pattern. All right, so after you have joined the sleeve to the main fabric, you repeat the same process on your lining. You can see on my lining I have also attached my sleeve as well. So right now guys, what we will do next is to work on the collar of this jacket. So for the collar, I have right here the pattern for my collar. I'm going to take off the pattern from the fabric. So what I did here was to cut out 2 pieces for my collar. I cut out an under collar and a top collar. So for the under collar, which is going to be on my lining, I cut it on fold, while for the top collar I added a sewing allowance to it, so it's going to have a stitch in the middle. Right, so here is what we have for the collar. I have an under collar and a top collar. An under collar is what I'll be using for the lining, which does not have a seam allowance at the midpoint, while the one I'll be using for the main collar has a seam at the midpoint, and I'm going to go stitch that seam and iron it open. Here I pinned my collar on my lining. I'll do the same thing for the main fabric, and the way I did it was that I pinned from the point where I have the notch. I pinned all around until I get to the point where I have the notch, and then I stopped. So we are going to go stitch this by 1/2 inch. When you get to the point where you have your notched angle, at that point you are going to stop stitching. Okay, so I did this for the fabric, that's the main fabric, and also for the lining. Like I said, for the main fabric I have a seam at the midpoint of my collar. You can see that it is quite different from what I have on the lining. All right, guys, so right now I take this to the machine and we are going to stitch by 1/2 inch. And after stitching up the both of them, this is what we have. This is what the color looks like on the lining and on the main fabric. Now what we'll do next, you can see the part where we have the notch. I didn't stitch that down, so but right now I'm going to be attaching my shoulder part to the pattern. Okay, and the shoulder part is going to be on the main fabric, not on the lining. So what you will do is to take your shoulder part and then you are going to place it on your sleeve head. So ensure that when you attach your shoulder pad or your sleeve head, you're going to be stitching it by 0.25 inch. Just ensure that you do not stitch on your sleeve line, so that the stitch will not be showing on the front side of your garment. Sorry, the camera is a little bit off angle, but I'm going to try as much as possible to explain this better. So what I said, for the shoulder pad, you're going to place it on the sleeve head, and then you're going to be pinning it all around, take it to the machine and sew. So what you do is to get the midpoint of your shoulder pad, and you're going to pin up that midpoint on the midpoint of your sleeve. So at the point where you have your shoulder line, you're going to pin in the midpoint of your shoulder pad at that point. Then you are going to pin it all around your sleeve head. Okay, I'll do this for each side of my sleeve, and then at the point where we have the bottom of the shoulder pad, we are going to also pin that on our seam allowance. Now when you tack this down, ensure that you only tack it on the seam allowance you have on that shoulder line. Ensure that the stitch does not show on the right side of your sleeve. So that's what I will do right now. I will take this to my machine and I'm going to run a stitch. I'm going to run 0.25 stitch on it, all around it. So I'll do this for the first part of the sleeve. I'll also do this for the second part of the sleeve, and then for the lower part of my shoulder pad, I'm going to use my needle and thread to tack that down on that sewing allowance there. Okay, so that's what I will do right now. And after doing it, this is what I have for my sleeve. I've attached my shoulder pad. Now I'm going to be joining the main sleeve and the lining together. So we are going to be attaching the two sleeves together. At this point we have 4 sleeves and we need them to become one. So what I'll do is to bring out the sleeve from the right side to face the wrong side of my fabric. So I'm going to be bringing out the main sleeve and the lining. I'll ensure that they are both facing the wrong side of the garment. Okay, so that's what I've done here. And after this, what I'll do next is to attach them together. Now the way we are going to attach it, you can see that the main sleeve is facing the wrong side. So at that point where I have the main sleeve, I'm going to fold it in as though I want to reveal the good side. So I'm just going to fold it in to reveal the good side and just leave it like that. I'll repeat this same process for the lining. There are a lot of ways to do this, but I just find out that this kind of works for me. So now I have the two right sides facing each other. Now I'm going to be pinning it down. So now when you're doing this method, ensure that your sleeve is not twisted, because if it is twisted, it might come out twisted and it will come out the wrong way. So now I've pinned down my sleeve all around, and I'm going to go run a 1/2 inch stitch allowance on it to join them together. I've done this for the first sleeve. I'll do the same thing for the second sleeve. So at this point, I've joined the sleeve and the main sleeve and the lining together, and this is what we have. So I'm going to turn it inside out so that we all see what our sleeve looks like at this point. Okay, like I said, when you are doing this method, ensure that your sleeve is not twisted, because at the end of the day, if you stitch it and it is twisted, you will not be able to turn it inside out. So right now I'm just going to turn my sleeve inside out to reveal what our sleeve looks like. Guys, this is it. You can see how the lining is relaxed inside and the sleeve is properly tucked into the main sleeve. All right, now we are going to move back to the collar. Now we are going to be joining the remaining part of the collar. So for the main fabric and the lining, we are going to be stitching the collar top by 1/2 inch. So we are going to be joining these two pieces together, and we are going to be stitching the top by 1/2 inch. Okay, so just go ahead and mark out your 1/2 inch if you want to, like I'm doing, or if you're very good at that, you can just eyeball it and stitch it up. So right now, that's what I've done. I've stitched it up, and this is what I have. So at the point where we have our notch, you can see that we still have an opening right there. So what we are going to do now is to grab one side of our collar, and you are going to be matching them together. Ensure that the seams match together and they stop at the point where they are supposed to stop. Now at the point where we have that notched part for the collar, you are going to be stitching from the top to the point where the seam allowance stopped on the collar. At the point where I'm just illustrating right now is where you are going to stop when you stitch that side close. So we do the same thing for the other side as well. We are going to be stitching from the top to the point where our notch stopped. All right, so now that you've gotten that stitch, next thing is to now stitch up the remaining parts of the lapel. Now to do that, you are going to now continue your stitch from that. See, you can see on my fabric, you can see the point where my stitch stopped on the corner. So from that point, you are going to be stitching all the way to touch the end of your lapel collar. I hope you understand that. So that's what I will do right now. And after doing that, guys, here is what our collar is looking like. I have gone ahead to iron it out. I've pressed it out, and you can see how nice and neat it is looking. And also note that when you stitch up this part, you're going to encounter some form of resistance. You're going to have to cut those notches so that it will release the tension on that part. So after that, now what we are going to do next is to stitch up the sides of our lapel and also the lower parts of the jacket. So what I will do now is to take this to my sewing machine and stitch it up. Now before I do that, I went ahead to cut out 1/2 inch at the lower part of the jacket for the lining, because I want the main fabric to overlap inside the jacket. So I cut out 1/2 inch from the lining. Okay, so now for us to be able to finish off the jacket, I will turn this inside out again. Okay, just tuck the right side of your jacket inside out and ensure that the wrong side is facing you. So the wrong side of the main fabric and the wrong side of the lining should be facing you at this point. So we are going to be joining it at the lapel part so that we can close off our jacket. Okay, so that's what I'll do right now. I'm going to pin it all around. I encourage you to keep pinning it is the best way to go around it. So I'm going to pin it all around, and then I'm going to stitch from the top of my lapel, go around to the bottom of the jacket and to the other side of my lapel jacket. Now this is what it looks like. This is the inside. I've turned the jacket inside out, and please ensure you iron properly. Use a very good steam iron to iron. All right, so this is what it looks like. I turned it inside out from the 3-inch we left on our lining, so I turned it inside out. This is what the inside looks like. Now we are going to work on the collar. You can see that the collar is still separated. We need to join them together so they stop moving around. Now for us to join the collar so they become one, you are going to run a top stitch on it. So I'm going to arrange them properly together, and I'm going to be running a top stitch at the top of my collar all around. And after that, I'm going to do a hand stitch for the back opening that I have on my lining, and then we are done. The jacket is ready. So I'm going to show you guys what this jacket looks like. So guys, this is what it looks like after we have done the top stitch. You can see how beautiful it is. If you made yours, do let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching, And please subscribe. I hope you like, and leave a comment. I'll see you guys in my next one. Stay blessed. Bye.